Hello, hello. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Really happy to kick off our first masterclass on reviews here at Fuzey. Today's session is called, part one, how to 5x your customer reviews in 3 easy steps. And I'm here joined here today with Tirthankar Bose from Google. I think just to kick off real fast, my name's Alex Boyce. I'm the co-founder of Fuzey, and I'm really delighted to see you all today for what I think will be a great workshop to really understand why reviews matter and ultimately why we should all be focused on how to get more. This is a topic that's on the top of our minds every single day, but I realize that it's an ever-changing space, and we're really keen and excited to be sharing more with you. I think most importantly, we've got Tirthankar here. I'd love for you just to kind of quickly introduce yourself, but just to kind of say a couple words ahead of time. Tirthankar is an expert in the space. He spent more than a decade at Google. He's worked on topics across reviews, local businesses, and most recently, he's been working with Google Pay, where he leads marketing for all of their efforts in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. But Tirthankar, over to you, and I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Thanks so much, Alex, and thank you, Fuzey, for allowing me to be part of your inaugural session. So hi, my name is Tirthankar Bose, but you can call me TT. It's a lot simpler, and that's what I go by at work. So just a bit about myself. I've been working at Google for more than 10 years. I actually started off working on Google AdWords, and that actually gave me an insight into small and medium-sized businesses because I was helping them digitize their businesses. A big part of it was Google My Business and also the ads side of the business. So that basically showed me and taught me about what are the needs of the businesses, what they struggle with. And over the years, I have worked on small and medium-sized business marketing. So again, educating them about the different tools out there and how to get their presence felt online. And over as Alex mentioned, over the last couple of years, I've been working on maps, and that was a big focus of mine during the pandemic. And obviously, we're still in the pandemic, but at the height of the pandemic, because maps was one of the only ways people could actually know what was open and what was not open, and that's when actually customer reviews, and I know we're going to talk more about it, became extremely important. Over the last outside of maps, I've also been focusing on payments, and I lead, as Alex mentioned, I lead shopping payments marketing for EMEA.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I know all of the local businesses with which we work and so many of those with whom we speak every day will really benefit from getting your perspectives on this. So we appreciate it. I think maybe just to start off, we wanted to kind of do a quick poll for the audience. To understand essentially where, how much we all knew about reviews. I mean, full disclosure, I think unless you're really steeped into it, nobody would expect you to have all of the nuance here. But there's one question we wanted to pose to everyone, which is basically in 2020, how many customers claim they read reviews while searching for a local business? So that might pop up, right here in the polls. Why don't we hop into, as everybody has an opportunity to take a look at that, we can hop into, I think, here you are, right here. We'll hop into kind of the meat of the conversation, which ultimately is why reviews matter. So right here, we've outlined essentially 4 key reasons. And Tirthankar, I mean, I think rather than just kind of going through, kind of these points, which obviously you were kind enough to kind of share with us, I'd love to just hear from your side why, in your perspective, why are we here? Why are reviews so important?
No, thanks for this. So I know we're talking all about reviews. So just to start off, and this is the most important thing, word of mouth has been the most important form of marketing, and it still is the most important form of marketing. What reviews is an extension of that. It is word of mouth at scale. And that's why it is extremely essential for every business to have their customers leaving reviews. Whether it's a B2C company or a B2B company, every company is people-based. So therefore, it's extremely helpful to have these reviews out there. I'm going to talk a bit more about this, and especially on how, and I'm going to talk about the point of word of mouth as well as increasing your visibility online. We have research from at Google, which was done in conjunction with Ipsos, and this is some 2017 stat, and this is probably only going to increase further the importance. But 66% of customers actually say that positive reviews helps them decide where they go, and where, especially when it comes to local businesses. So this is just free marketing which exists there. Most of you are already doing all the hard work of getting in the customers and engaging with them, and I'm sure you're making them have the best experience possible. Reviews, and especially online reviews, is just a way of getting that word out there. So I can't stress this enough, because you've done all the work. This is the easy stuff. So that's one area, which also covers, I guess, the free marketing of your business. The last point, which I want to on the third and the fourth point, increase your visibility online. Obviously, Google search, and I can talk about that a bit more, has a lot of parameters on how it indexes results and all. We're not going to spend too much time on that. I'm not the expert on that, but what I can tell you is reviews actually plays a part in how you show up. This is reviews, and then when you have like a Google My Business account, if your listing is complete, that also helps your visibility online. So all these are small steps to make you more discoverable. And the last point, which is make your customer service more accountable. This is reviews is a way of telling your customers that you are open for feedback, and you are listening for feedback, to their feedback. So a place which doesn't act on the reviews is not going to survive, irrespective of they show their reviews or not. This just becomes a forcing mechanism of doing that. Alex, would love to get your thoughts as well, because obviously you've been working very, very closely on this.
Yeah, no, I think those are great points. I mean, I think a lot about, well, all four topics as we talk to customers every single day. I mean, I think your point about word of mouth is exactly spot on. We think a lot about essentially how to capitalize on great work from, our wonderful customers. We've got a number of customers who, we have one skincare spa in the US that, frankly has essentially built a pretty strong, multi-$1,000 business, or kind of tens of thousands of dollars of monthly turnover without any sort of digital support. And why that's important, why that's interesting is that, that obviously means that, the services that this individual provides. And by the way, I guess full disclosure, this individual is my mom. So this is a family business that she runs that I've been helping with her for years on. But so it's a really personal thing, right? She obviously does a great job, but she's never really spent the time thinking about, where she can capitalize and grow further. At the end of the day, reviews are a great way to be able to kind of, expand that in a more fundamental capacity. So that's kind of one reason why we really kind of think think a lot about exactly that. I think the second piece is, on the marketing front, her friends right now do marketing for her, right? And they do marketing for her through saying, hey, Amy's done a great job on this, or Amy's done a great job on that. But, at the end of the day, that's a big part of the importance of reviews. In terms of visibility, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's completely changed the game with respect to how people think about and see, her business online, and ultimately making customer service more accountable. It's a huge kind of plus point. We have one customer, Emily, who runs a consultancy here in Greater London. And funnily enough, reviews have changed her business, because when she started it, she thought, actually, I'm really good at public speaking and basically consulting around how best to public speak. She's given us lessons. I can't say that necessarily I do all of them perfectly. I'm still learning, but she's a great teacher. But fundamentally, she actually learned that that's not really where her and her team stand out. Her and her team stand out by virtue of providing great leadership courses. And she didn't know that until she had unbiased reviews that ultimately informed that. So I think that in and of itself is kind of an interesting learning where, reviews can actually change the business that you're in by virtue of, of kind of unlike, kind of uncovering interesting things. And at the end of the day, in any business, feedback is critical. It really reminds you kind of what you're good at, where you can improve, and kind of where to double down.
No, that's absolutely right. First of all, I'm sure your mother has great reviews and is usually great reviews for a business. But on your last point around businesses, whether it's a startup or an established business, reviews can actually identify opportunities for you to pivot or to double down on. So that I completely agree. I also just have my own like personal story as well. Like my father's an ophthalmologist and he has his clinic, and like for the longest time, he just didn't understand the value of reviews because his method was more old school, that he knows the patients who's coming to him, he knows them, he knows those individual relationships, and he's built them over the years, so he doesn't need those reviews, and people have heard of it through word of mouth as well.
True.
But that stops being the case. Like that is not a way to scale his growth. So he knows his expertise is in healthcare and being a doctor. But what he doesn't realize is that if you want to get the new customers, suppose people who are moving into your neighborhood and they don't know about what all exists in the neighborhood, those are the people you're actually also getting with reviews.
Yeah.
So it is using the loyal base which you've created and then building on top of it. And just another interesting stat, and this is, and I think we were discussing this earlier as well, is local searches have gone up 9 times. Local searches, especially around near me terms, have gone up 9 times since 2016. And this is, I'm giving you early 2020 stats. So over the last year and a half, that's gone up even further as more people are just spending more time around themselves. So when they are searching, that's when your business shows up. That's when, like, and if you have 2 businesses to choose from, and just think about it as a customer for another product as well, of another brand. If you have 2 businesses show up, one has like 5-star reviews and a significant number of reviews, and another has 4-star reviews or 3-star reviews and a significant number of reviews, which one are you more likely to choose if you don't know nothing about that space? So these are just indicators of you to choose and help people choose.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I get some flack from this from my wife every now and then, because ultimately I don't remember the last time I didn't go deep into reviews every single time we think about a new restaurant, right? Anything, it doesn't matter if it's a small purchase or a big one. These are big monumental parts of how we make purchase decisions. Right now we're discussing whether to kind of refit our boiler. I mean, Google was the first place I went, right? It's not necessarily something I've been in London for about 5 years, but new to London and boilers for all intents and purposes. So I didn't have anybody on hand. So of course I go to search and take a look there. So that's exactly the reason why we want kind of to exist, and ultimately to help everybody boost their reviews, because we've really seen a huge impact, and we'll get back to that in a second. In terms of the poll, so thank you guys for filling out the poll. I wanted to kind of circle back on where that netted out. So our most popular answer was 70% as the answer for, in 2020, how many customers claim they read reviews while searching for a local business. So it's definitely closer than most of the other guesses, but in fact it's about 90% of customers read reviews as a process of searching for their local businesses. We think of this as a great kind of testament to exactly what TT was just kind of highlighting, insofar as at the end of the day, this is where people go, and reviews are just so fundamental to that whole process. So, okay, now that we've established that why reviews matter, maybe we can hop into ultimately how to get more of them. So since reviews are such a vital tool to grow your business, how can we ensure that we're getting enough of them? There's 3 kind of key steps that TT was kind enough to kind of provide in terms of thinking through. So I don't know, TT, do you want to take it away here?
Yeah, no. So as we discussed, first is you have to put in the hard work before you can ask people for reviews. You actually have to develop a relationship with them. So I'm sure all your businesses are extremely successful. So if you have successful businesses which are built on top of customer service, ask them for a review. But you have to make that journey as simple as possible for them. Very, very few people will be reminded and will want to go to a particular place and leave a review afterwards. So at Google, we try to make the process a bit simpler by giving pop-up recommendations if you visited a certain number of places. But that is just a reminder once, which happens. So you have to make sure that it's easy. So whether I think you can SMS your clientele, if you know them really well and they've been working with them, tell them to leave a review. Also, I know we spoke about stars as well as written reviews. Written reviews matter even more than stars because it just shows people have gone that extra step further. And then this is again another reason why it's good to get this personalized requests from businesses for you to leave reviews. And the last one is, like everything, like every aspect of your business, where it is optimizing. You want to make sure that the funnel is as simple. People have to do as little steps, as few steps as possible to actually leave the review. And then constantly be reminded, as I mentioned. Again, there are a lot of tools here, but again, I'll let you talk more about Fuzey because I know you make this process a lot simpler for them.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's funny that you mentioned that because I think the number, I mean, I probably speak to, between 5 and 10 small businesses every day. And I think the most consistent, refrain that I hear from everyone is essentially, no matter what kind of job you do or how well you do it, so often people just kind of verbally ask for exactly that. They say, hey, it would be really great if you could leave a review. And customers almost always say, sure. I mean, nobody has kind of an aversion to doing it, right? Because ultimately, if you've done a great job, there's no reason not to. I think what ultimately prevents people from doing it is it just can be laborious, right? Like you've got to go find the business, you've got to go to the right platform, take the time to go onto your phone or your computer, find the right business, find kind of click through 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And at the end of the day, we're all busy, right? I'm busy, you're busy, customers are busy, our merchants are busy. Everybody has a number of kind of things that take up their time. But ultimately, if we make it really, really simple for people with kind of a one-touch, SMS, that's where we see kind of a real uptick. Actually, on that topic, I wanted to kind of do our second poll, which essentially is just a quick question of what is the average open rate of SMS versus emails? This is kind of a super interesting one that we've seen. Obviously, you guys can see the respective options here, but I think just as I think about exactly these 3 steps, it's a fundamental part of why we exist, right? Creating the relationship with your customers. Unfortunately, we can't at Fuzey or at Google, really kind of take care of that. But ultimately, that's what our customers and our local businesses do best. In terms of the kind of second 2, that's kind of where we come in. In terms of making it easy, ultimately, SMS is a big part of why we exist in terms of making that a simple process. And I'll give you guys 2 more seconds before I expose the real deal here. But we want to make it super simple to be able to leave reviews. And then in terms of optimizing that process for requesting, doing it at the right time, I think, is a really important one too, right? At the end of the day, if TT, if I were to come over to Google and for a particular service, and you were to text me 2 or 3 weeks later, I probably wouldn't have as recent of a view of kind of like why I care, right? But instead, if we have just met and I'm immediately hit with that kind of request, there's so much more reason for me to get involved and say, actually, I want to put that extra kind of 30 seconds in. And to your point about kind of written, a written review, provide that granularity and say, look, this really went well, and this is why. So just to kind of expose the poll here. Thank you guys again for answering. I have found this pretty interesting and substantial. SMS open rates are about 98% for all texts. And I know just anecdotally that's the case for me because I don't get nearly as many texts as I do emails. So I open almost every single one of them. And for emails, it's about 20%. So that's a 5x difference. Our feeling at Fuzey is that if we're able to get more text out there with review links and make it a super simple and seamless process for you to get reviews, you'll just get more of them. And that's really kind of a big part of why we exist.
Just on that as well, I think it's the difference between SMS and emails is SMS is meant to be instant, right? Versus emails are, you can check your email over the course of the week and not necessarily on that particular day, especially when it's coming from businesses. So, as I mentioned, SMS is more instant. The other thing which you talked about, which is quite important, is when the reviews are requested and how. And there are a lot of businesses which do this really well. If you think about it on a scale way, like when you are going to a restaurant or when you are taking a cab, you are asked to review the cab experience or asked to review the restaurant experience. When are you likely to do that? Like you order, when you've made your payment, that's when you've thought about how the experience is. That's when your brain is thinking, did I have a good time, not a good time? Was the cost justified? Does the cost justify the services which were provided? Totally. That's when you're thinking about all of these things. You won't think about it a week later on thinking that, yeah, I paid X pounds for this. Was it really worth it? Was it not worth it? You've moved on, especially for low ticket items. It's for the really big ticket items where you'll actually be thinking about it for a longer period.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that recency is such a big thing, right? So if you make it super simple and you make it really straightforward to be able to kind of close that out, that's exactly what we want to do. So I think maybe just to recap there on the Fuzey side, we make that as simple as kind of a one-touch process where you can send an SMS, a WhatsApp, a Facebook message, all from our platform with just a one-touch review link where, you click the button, you add the score, add some feedback, and you're done. And I mean, in terms of what we've seen with our customers, that's achieved some pretty stellar results. One of our customers who's going to be joining us for the second part of the series next week, Mike Harriman of Now EV, has seen a market improvement in his reviews. Over the last couple months with us, he's seen a 5.7x increase in reviews with a 74% success rate of reviews received versus requested. And I think that's a really important one because anecdotally, and TT, you might have kind of a more granular view on this. We hear that it's less than 5% of people who actually say, I'm going to leave you a review that actually do, for all of the reasons we talked about. So we're really, really proud of that particular stat. So I mean, that increase in and of itself is pretty stellar. And ultimately that's led to opportunity for him and his team. It's led to a 1.7x increase in page views and ultimately a stream of more and more and more leads coming through because the people that ultimately are looking for his services, he's an EV charger installer, will find him more easily and more people come through the door. So, I think this has been a great conversation. So thank you so much for the inputs, TT. We really appreciate it. I think now that we've talked about reviews, their importance and how to overcome kind of the challenges of getting them, we would love to open this up for questions and see if anybody in the audience has anything that they want to ask. So we'll leave the chat open for that.
Looking forward to questions.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, we just had one come in asking if I'm doing really well on Facebook with reviews, should I double down on getting more reviews there, or should I put my eggs in other baskets like Google and Trustpilot? TT, you might be a little bit biased there. I'm happy.
No. I'm definitely I'm going to wear an agnostic consumer hat. It genuinely depends on whatever business you are and where the volume is. Go where the users are. Don't try to create something. Try to go for every single platform as well. So focus on the couple of channels where your users are. I don't know which business you have, but I know Trustpilot is highly rated. It's very, very reputable. So that's a great source. I know, again, this is where the Google bias comes in, but the data suggests that more people search for local businesses on Google than they do on other platforms. So that's also a good place. Facebook, again, depends on the type of business you are. A lot of people review review a website. A lot of people also have Facebook as their website. So if that's your website, and as opposed to having your own actual website, then reviews over there will matter as well. So I would definitely, the three which you mentioned, I would definitely do them, but double down on them more dependent on whatever business you are.
That's great. We've just got our next question actually, which says, how do you deal with it? How do you deal when you've received a few bad reviews early on?
So I think receiving bad reviews is obviously not great, but what is worse is not acting on them. That is the worst possible thing which you can do. I think there's a famous saying, the customer is always right. So you have to, when you receive a negative review, you should always respond to it, try to understand the problem, and if possible, say that you would like to reach out and discuss it. Because a lot of times, if you reached out, you try to understand the challenge. If it was a one-off bad experience, you give them a better experience, and then they can take back that review as well. You're not buying that review, you are earning that review. So therefore that's one thing. But obviously, as you grow your customer base, you might not be able to do that at scale with everyone, but you should try to reach out and respond to it, all of them, no matter if you are a billion-dollar company or a new startup.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And actually, funnily enough, as you say that, we might serve local businesses, but we think of ourselves as a local business as well. So I mean, I think our entire team spends hours and hours and hours every week making sure that everybody on our platform gets as much as that they can off of it, because you're exactly right. You've got to earn those reviews, and you've got to make sure that you provide that value. And I think that customer interaction and dialogue in and of itself is really powerful, right? I mean, if you can kind of capitalize on a point of constructive feedback and become better, I mean, everybody wins, right? The end customer wins because ultimately you provide a better service down the line. You win because you become a stronger business. And yeah, I think it's a huge enabler for businesses to improve.
And just adding to that, I'm naming non-Google companies as well, but Amazon has built their business on customer reviews, right? When you were shopping online as a user, you weren't initially comfortable with it, so reviews was all they had. So they would actually double down and make sure that everyone has a good experience. If they didn't have a good experience, they would go over, would actually go above and beyond and try to make sure that at least their return process was as simple as possible, or things like that. And that model applies to any business.
Yeah, and I think that kind of leadership up front is kind of what you need to develop that great business, grow it, and continue on. Do we have time for one last question?
Yeah, that was for me.
Perfect. Okay, well, we got one last question which came in that just said, how many reviews are a good amount of reviews?
So unfortunately, I won't be able to share any science behind that from Google side. A lot of it is internal information in terms of how many reviews we look at to make sure that your rankings will actually improve. But what I can say is think about it. Ask yourself that as a consumer, when you're going to, say, a restaurant, how many reviews would you think you would actually like to look at before you actually decided this place is good or not? My general rule is, if it's a super new place, you would still want about at least 100 plus reviews, because if it's 50 people, you can just get your 50, like you can get friends and friends just to leave positive reviews. So 100 when starts becoming more and more reliable for a small business which doesn't necessarily attract a global audience, and it's a very, very local place. That's my view. But if it's an extremely established business, you want to be going up into the thousands as well. So because you'd expect that there's enough traffic coming in to the place.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's pretty consistent with our view, which is basically it depends, right? It depends on where you are as a business, how long you've been around, when you started the review program. But I think the idea is that we want to make sure that everybody knows that even if you're behind where you want to be today, be it with Fuzey or any other service, we just want to help you, kind of get better and better. Obviously, we believe that we can do it in the best way, but I think, most importantly, we were really kind of just passionate about local businesses finding their voice, getting their customers to vouch for them, and taking that forward. But TT, thank you so much. This was a lovely chat. 30 minutes flew by, so thanks for engaging with us. And I think just to wrap, I just wanted to thank you for your time and sharing your insights. As I said, I've enjoyed the conversation, and I really look forward to closing this topic out next week with Michael Harriman, the owner of Now EV, who's going to be sharing with us his insights on these experiences firsthand. Right, somebody who, like you, has kind of sat there in the driver's seat of a local business and had to kind of think about these topics from his side. So we'd love for you guys to join us next Wednesday, the 23rd of February at 5 p.m. UK for our session on how increasing customer reviews by 5x transform my business. But in the meantime, thank you all again. Please feel free to get in touch with me at alex@getfuzey.com or just head to our website for any questions or further information. TT, thank you again.
No, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the invite, and thank you, Fuzey team.
All right. Until next time, guys. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the questions.
Be well. Bye-bye.